Hello, Patrick here, 8 Questions With. Welcome to Thursday, uh, the last show of the week, and I'm glad you guys are here with it. We will be talking to our guest, Mr. Naz Red, film director, screenwriter, and all around great guy. Naz Red will be here shortly. Right now, we're waiting for the other guest, which will be his producing partner, April Mendoza. She is en route right now. So they one of them is in the back in the basement. So I do see them there. We're gonna let them have a chance to settle in and hopefully April will get here shortly, and then we will take off and run um, at 8 o'clock. Uh, hey, Mage Burger, how are you? Hey, Anthony, how are you? Glad you guys are here. Anthony, you had a great haul, man. Night, I saw that. You got two really good movies there, brother. That is cool, man. Drumline is a badass movie. That's a great movie to get. Um, so while we're talking here, while we're waiting for April to come here, so this is one of those things that this interview is one of those things that I had, I did in my music days, um, and that is just wing it. Um, I was surfing on Tubi, and I saw this documentary. Said Hellacious, the making of a horror indie film. And I'm like, wow, that sounds really cool. I'll take a listen to that. I'll watch that. I've never heard anything about it, never heard of Naz Red or any of the actors, but I go ahead and I put it on and I watch it. And boys and girls, I was hooked. Um, it's one of the most interesting movies I've seen this year. It definitely will make my top 20. Hellacious will make my top 20. Um, I actually, I yeah. Um, Hey, Echo, how are you? Good to hear that you're doing good too, Mage. I'm glad to see that. So I watched the movie, and it's a story about how Nas and his team had to overcome a lot of obstacles to get their movie Debbie and the Devil made. But it was really more than that. Nas opened up he opened up himself to let people see who he is. He's had a tough road. It hasn't been easy for him, and I have nothing but respect for him. And he's remained kind. He's remained very generous. He's very hardworking, um, and his team really likes him too. You could definitely tell that. I could see the rapport that they had with him is something like a Todd Sheets has with his crew. That's the only thing I can think of right off the bat with because Todd Sheets is a prolific he's a prolific he's a prolific director, but he has a great group of folks, artists around him that they would jump off the cliff for him. And I get that same sorts of feeling with Nas. I feel feeling like like his crew would do anything to help him out. So and like I said, it's gonna be very interesting. Debbie and the Devil is an anthology film. It's a combination of anthology, has animation in it, and that's a story all in itself that we'll be talking about. Um, thank you so much, and thank you so much. Let's see, Echo saying no and no. I don't know, unless he's echoing. Um, so he'll be here along with his producing partner. They do run a studio, Wild Seven Studio, and so they put out a lot of different movies. Are in the process of getting more off the ground. It's a lot of fun us watching this company take off. I see nothing but good things happening for them in the future. Definitely. Um, so we will be talking to them in about 10 minutes or so, if not sooner. Just let you guys know this is the next to the last show of the year. We have one more show next week. Actually, a week from today, actually. We will be talking to Jason Evans, also known as Jason the Nice One. He will be our last interview of the year next Thursday, and I'll be joined by special co-host Lady Valerie from Val's Views. She will be joining me on that show as well. But we also have shows going on in January. And I got the calendar, so I'll bring this out and I will tell you who we got. We got a lot of returning friends coming back next month. That's when I'm looking at my calendar now. I'm thinking, wow, we got friends coming back, and we also got some really, we talked to Matt Patterson yesterday. We talked about the Warner Brothers archive. And it's really cool that we got to have such an extensive talk with that because we got two more studio gents coming in. We got Peter Castro, who handles press for Bayview Entertainment, coming in, and then we got the president and the owner of Cinephobia releasing, Ray Murray, coming in January. So it's feast or famine. I've always wanted to talk to studio heads. I always find it fascinating. I want to talk to someone like Raymond. I want to talk to someone like Peter to see how they do what they do, because it's important to us. It's important to them. I mean, we gotta. I'm interested in seeing how they're going to adjust the fact that we're now switching over to a lot more streaming and a lot less shelf space for physical media. How will that affect their business plan? How will that affect their business mode going forward? How will they deal with that? So it's going to be really interesting. On Peter will be here with us on Friday the 5th, and Raymond will be here with us on January 12th, Friday the 12th. Hey, there's Reed here. All right, all right. Um, uh, 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 yes, yes, I know. I will be up for that. I will be up for that. Real quick too, after we are done today, um, we're all going to head on over to Hobbs Horror because the Midnight Hour is celebrating 3 years of shows. Next, this we I can't even believe that. I can't even believe that we 3 years for the Midnight Hour. I I, I think I was there for the first year. Um, and but I can't believe we got 3 years underneath their belts. So after we're done here, um, head on over to Hobbs Horror and join in the fun and festivities. I have no idea what they're doing. I have zero idea. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it's horror trivia, if it's Echo Dancing, Mr. Bones Ballin', straight Ballin'. I don't know what it is, but it's going to be fun. That's all I can say. So let me check the basement and see who's here. And if our guest is here and ready to rock and roll, we're going to bring them up, and then we will have whoever's not here, we'll have them join us when they can. Okay, I don't see anybody. Okay, so I don't see anybody sitting at me. One of the guests will be is en route, and Naz asked, just let me know that if they might be a little bit late. So I know that they're there. I see them. So we are waiting for them to get here. So I don't mind talking up a little bit. Uh, yeah, yeah. Tomorrow, Saturday night, San Jose State is over in Hawaii once more. They will be playing Coastal Carolina in the Hawaii Bowl. Also today is National Signing Day, and that's generally, it used to be the biggest. It used to be the biggest day outside the season, but now with the portal being what it is, and the name, image, and likeness being what it is, signing day doesn't mean really much anyway. Most teams now are recruiting the portal and not necessarily high school kids. Um, I guess the Power Five teams are basically buying their players, while the Group of Five teams like San Jose State will continue to develop them. But that's all we're going to talk about. We're not going to talk about football here. I just wanted to throw that out there. Now, I will say this because we're going to pick their brains for this for sure. But I would like to see very much. I'd like to see some people throw down some movies that they have enjoyed or watching this year. I would ask you guys what was your favorite interview this year was here on Eight Questions with, and maybe I'll still do that. What was your favorite interview here on Eight Questions this year? Yeah, I'll do that. So yeah, so what was your favorite interview this year on Eight Questions with? Which one did you like the best? We had a sensational year. Holy cow, we've had some fun this year. Oh my gosh. Um, so many great guests coming in here and chatting it up with us. We had a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to doing it again next year. We're already working on some big shows already. Uh, we definitely are going to see some returns to some old favorites, some old friends coming back, some new faces coming in. A lot of new faces, obviously. That's what we do here. We are Our show is tailor made for the up and comers. We get a couple of established people, a couple of established stars, uh, but we like talking to the up and comers. It's a lot of fun. Let's see. Okay, I'll answer the movie one since I'm too new to answer the latter. I guess it was pretty cool to be introduced to Vampire Hunter D. Wow, so you got introduced to anime. Very cool. Very cool. Vampire Hunter D is awesome. Um, Now, of course, I have to bring up when people mention anime. The first movie that the two movies I always bring up. I know they're older movies, but I still love them so much. And that is Star Cruisers, um, or the Battleship Yamato, or Akira. Though there's a lot more out there other than that. Um, One Piece seems to be getting looks like they're going to be making a movie out of One Piece. Um, a lot of the anime I watched growing up is still going on. I know Dragon Ball Z is still out there rocking and rolling. The Last Airbender is out there rocking and rolling. Yu-Gi-Oh is out there rocking and rolling. Um, wow, Cowboy Bebop for sure, for sure. Wow, okay. I we try to get we try we've interviewed interviewed a couple of comics folks here, people who were in comics. We interviewed Kevin Van Hook, who he created the character of Bloodsport. We talked to Kevin Van Hook. We've also talked to Mick Gray, who also was an inker for DC Comics. Um, we also Really cool. Yes, I found at my library, I found three. I don't know if they were complete seasons or not, but I found three. I want to say that they were, but I found three complete seasons, or at least some episodes from it. Yeah, my sister loves it. Uh, let's see. Reed says his favorites were back to back. I think Darlissa, yes, Darlissa, and then Daniel Hill. Daniel Hill's a great interview. I could talk to Daniel all day long. And Darlissa, what a sweetheart. What a real sweetheart. She was really fun to talk to as well. Um, those are good. Those are two really good picks. Um, Mage is at episode 81 of One Piece. I have to see which ones I got. I also know that I picked up the Attack on Titan. I've also seen that as well. Good lord, Attack on Titan, man! I mean, I thought that was absolutely over the top. I know it's not anime, but I know it's not anime. But I tell you, the show that really caught my attention. I mean, grabbed me by the like, hey, come look at this. Is Invincible. Oh shit! That's an amazing cartoon. That's an amazing cartoon. Um, it got better. I got the animation's better this season than last season. Sort of bummed out that they're splitting the season into two. They're going to do four episodes in the beginning of the year, and then four episodes toward the end of the year. I really don't understand that with only 8 episodes. Why are you going to do that? But that's what they're going to do. Um, the Invincible is. I'm still waiting for the first season to be released on home video. As far as I know, I don't know if Invincible the first season has been released. If it is, I definitely want to get it, but I have not seen it being released yet. I would get that in a heartbeat. Um, all right, let me go and check our guest and see if they're both here. Let's see. Okay, they're still waiting. They're still waiting. Um, yeah. Well, you know what's really cool too about Naz Red, Debbie and the Devil is there's animation in that film as well. Um, it's sort of it's sort of remind me. It's very cool animation. It's very from the heart. Um, and it's also it's actually quite funny too. it's very it's very charming. Let me see. I want to make sure that they're okay. Yeah, so I got the message from them saying that they're going to be that they're away, because they live on the West Coast. And um, yeah, they're on the West Coast, so that's 3 hours difference. And if anybody's ever lived out in LA or around that area, knows that it takes, a normal 30-minute drive during rush hour can take you over an hour to get home. Yes. Let's see. Have I seen Thanksgiving or Silent Night yet? Watched them both recently. Enjoyed them both for what they were. Yeah. So, did you like Thanksgiving? Our good friend of the show, Karen Cleach, the who she was here talking about that film. She had a lot of fun doing it. That's for sure. It was really good seeing her. Of course, she wasn't a final girl though. Let's see, Mage says that he's been planning an animated show for himself for a long time, learning more how to make a show through the process is definitely making me appreciate shows and movies way more. Oh yes, we talk to a lot of film creators on this show, Mage, and yeah, and it's funny thing is though, it's like no movie is ever made the same way. I mean, you could ask 30 different directors how they make their movies, and you're going to get a different answer from everybody. Um, that's what's really interesting about filmmaking. Um, Sometimes people have actually said, "Well, you interview a lot of directors. Do you find yourself asking them the same questions?" Some questions I do ask a little bit, maybe be the same, but I also know too that just because I ask the same question, like I'll be asking Naz Red in a little bit, but I also know too that the answers are all different. Everybody has a different way of doing things. Nobody does the same thing twice or the same way or twice. A lot of times a director will learn, it's one of the things we ask is what are some of the things that you've learned moving from movie to movie and how do you apply it to your craft? How do you make and how has working on this movie made you a better director going into the next one? So we do ask those questions a lot. And you always get different answers. You certainly do. Uh, 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 yeah, that's what's really cool. And of course, independent filmmakers, a lot of those filmmakers, they have to be really they have to be super creative. If you think about it, you think some of these bigger directors like Christopher Nolan or Steven Spielberg, or Guy Ritchie, what have you. A lot of those directors, they have unlimited resources, right? So, they get like 70, 80, $90 million for a picture. Well, they can pretty much just do anything they want. Need more animation, need bigger effects, need this, need that, whatever. They get it. Um, Make it an independent film such as Debbie and the Devil. requires a lot of creativity, a lot of innovation, a lot of what how do I make, Matt Patterson, who was here with Lunamancer yesterday, he said his movie cost $30,000 to make. $30,000, not very much money. That would probably be a craft table for a week on a big movie, on a big budget movie. That would probably feed the crew for a week. But for Matt, that's his whole budget, and so he has to be super creative on how he spends his money and what he puts on the screen. Same thing with Naz Red. So thank you guys all for coming in. Our guests will be here. They will be here, even though we're running a little bit late. But they did tell me that they would be a little bit late, so I know that they are, but they will be here. That we've been in contact through Instagram, so there we go. I will go ahead and tackle the calendar a little bit. I'll tell you guys who we got for sure so far. Yeah, I don't know what it is. I'm sort of dragging my ass in January. I don't know what it is, but we are putting the calendar together. Here's what we got so far. Um, so the first show of the year is going to be Thursday, um, January 4th. We have the return of our friend Spider Dobrowski will be here with us. Spider was recently on Mike's show, An American Werewolf in New Jersey, but he'll be here with us again on the 4th of January. And that is how I found Spider. I found Spider because I saw him do an interview with Mike, and I said he sounds like he just sounds like he knows what he's doing. He's got a new movie. He's got a new movie coming out down below that features Eric Roberts, Bai Ling from The Crow, Doug Jones from Hellboy and Legion. A very cool cast of genre stars. And it's funny. It's like, man, the more I think about it, it's like Eric Roberts, he really has become a semi-legendary horror icon. Um, when you think of Eric Roberts, you don't really think of horror movies. That's not what you think of. You're always thinking about dramas. Some people might remember superheroes, like he popped up in Batman. He popped up in Batman. Um, that's the one that Eli Roth did, Mage. He made a movie called Thanksgiving. Uh, let's see. Thanksgiving was fun. Lots of gore and good kills. Definitely watch it every year, and not too many Thanksgiving movies. Yes, yeah. And Eli Roth has said he's going to be coming back to do another one. It did set the record in November for the biggest Thanksgiving, I guess, rated R movie. A horror movie goes. I think it set a record. It's made like damn near $35 million. Yeah, that's really good considering that the budget for the movie was very small, and it's made money. And I tell you where that thing's really going to make its money at is when it gets released on home video. Um, yeah, I think that that's going to be a big movie for home video when it gets released. Um, and speaking of home video, real quick, so we're talking about physical media, and there was a breath of fresh air happened last week when that all the copies of Oppenheimer that were released to home that were released, they were all sold out. As soon as it came online, people were buying copies of that movie everywhere. They sold out everywhere it was. Anywhere that had brick and mortar stores that had Oppenheimer, they sold out, and plus online. So they're going to be catching up for after the new year. So Spider will be here with us to talk about his movie Down Below on Thursday the 4th. I mentioned Peter Castro will be here on Friday the 5th. On the 9th of January, we have actress Heather Fraley will be here with us on January 9th. On January 10th, a Wednesday, we have actress Grace Juliana will be here with us. On the 11th, we have one of our own. We have a YouTuber, one of our own. We have Dell on Movies. He will be our guest on Thursday, January 11th. And then Ray Murray from Cinephobia on art exploitation films. He'll be with us on the 12th. We have Joe Cornette will be coming back to talk to us. We will be talking Western films with Joe Cornette. Joe has made he made his horror film debut, both as an actor and as a director with the Night of the Caregiver, which will also be making my top 20 list this year. That was a really good movie. Great performance that he got from Eileen Dietz. Really strong performance. Uh, Highly recommend the movie. Natalie Denise Burrell was also in it, and she is very, very strong in that movie as well. So Joe will be here on January 17th. Uh, we also have Brendan Murphy will be here with us. Brendan Murphy is a filmmaker as well, and he has done movies such as Night of the Elders, which is in post. He also has done a movie called Shadow March, which we'll be talking about on the 23rd. And then on the 31st, I just did this show today. I just booked this show today. We will see the return of film director Mitch Lang will be here with us. Mitch is he did a movie called Bogman. He's a Louisiana filmmaker, and he'll be here with us. And we're working on bringing some castmates out for that show. So far, we'll be talking to Benjamin Gross. He'll also be on the show with Mitch. All right, let me go see where our guest is at. Well, they're gone. Oops, that's not good. Let me see. Okay, let me see where they're at. Okay. All right. Yeah, that isn't that something you would have thought honestly, Reed, when I saw that, when I heard that the movie was sold out, I you would have thought it would have been Barbie. You would have thought it would have been Barbie the one that would have sold out. Um, but it was Oppenheimer. Isn't that something else? And such a heavy subject too, that's a heavy drama, and and for people to go out there and spend the money to get it, a 3 hour long movie, that that's why physical media is still here, is still with us, is still important, because people they still want to be able to buy it, they still want to be able to watch it when they can, and the movie's important enough, they want to add it to their collections. um, sometimes sometimes a lot of people like to watch dramas, they like to replay watching dramas. It isn't always just the most popular movies, the more fun movies that people rewatch. A lot of the times they like to watch, like me, I two of the movies I always rewatch is Glory with Matthew Broderick and Denzel Washington, Morgan Freeman, and Saving Private Ryan. I can watch those two movies anytime, anytime. Uh, uh, and of course everybody likes to watch their fun movies too. The comedies and the rom coms and all that other stuff. It's more easier to rewatch that because it makes you feel good. Watching a heavy ass movie about the beginning of the atomic bomb. That's a tough subject. But of course, Oppenheimer did really, really well at the box office, and it's going to be very interesting to see how well it does at the Oscars. Um, it's going to be interesting. Um, I know that some of the actors are starting to win some awards. I know that Cillian Murphy, who starred as Oppenheimer, he won the Best Actor award at a from one of these bigger awards. It's award season now, so I saw that he won an award for his acting in Oppenheimer. Um, yeah, Oppenheimer. That's what I mean. It's just a straight drama. It's. I mean, I know they show the explosion, the test run of it and everything else, but it's more of a drama than it is an action film. I have not seen it yet. I have not seen it, so I'm not sure if they show. I'm not sure if they show the bomb being used against Japan or not. I don't know if the movie ends at that point. I think it goes past that because Oppenheimer, people were after him after the bomb. They were trying to ruin his career afterwards. They were trying to have him say that he was a communist. Um, but of course, that was the Red Scare of the 50s, right? Joseph McCarthy. So, okay. Yeah, that's all right. The doorbell rang, boys and girls. The doorbell is here. So I'm glad you guys stuck around because it's going to be well worth it. Share us out if you can. So please help me welcome in Mr. Naz Red and his producing partner, April Mendoza from Wild 7 Studios. And here we go.
Okay. Hello?
Hello.
Okay.
Hi,
perfect.
Patrick.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Cool.
A
Wow, you guys
million.
are all in together. Let me see if I can make this screen just a little bit bigger for us. I can do that.
Cool. I like. Let's see. Nice.
Oh, nice.
Oh.
Okay.
Well, slightly. Let's see. Well, maybe I should go back to where it was.
Oh yeah.
I can, yeah,
And a million wild 7 apologies for our lateness.
Yeah. Sorry.
it's okay. I lived in California. I know exactly what you're going through.
Oh, yeah. Patrick, are you in New Jersey?
No, I'm in Michigan.
Oh, neat. I love Michigan. I've been there before.
Nice. I have not, but that's very cool.
There we go.
Yeah.
All right.
That's cool.
There we go. Now we got all three, the best we can here. Glad you're here so much.
Thanks for
I used to work in concerts. I used to do live music, and I used to get a lot of tapes get sent to me and stuff like that. And I would grab a tape, I would listen to it in the machine, and then I would try to book the show based on on what I heard. I got pretty well known as picking some really good bands before they were known. I'd sit there and say, yeah, that band's gonna pop, and then they would pop, and it's like, and when I was floating through Tubi and I saw Hellacious there, I said, wow, I've never heard of this. I'm gonna watch this. I could not get that out of my mind. I went and wrote to you the second the movie ended. I went and wrote to you to come onto the show. That's how impressed I was.
Who wants to, and I think, Patrick, because there's 3 of us, maybe we should create a system where when I talk, I'll say, I would like to speak now. And then I say my thing, and then April, same thing. But because there's 3 of us, it doesn't devolve into chaos. But we love the fact that you appreciated the film. And just from our perspective, well, I mean, you discovered your review on YouTube.
Oh, it was actually Chris, our partner.
Oh,
Chris.
Yeah.
Yeah, our co-producer Chris found it. I think you commented on one of our videos, or it was like a direct message. I forgot exactly what it was, but
I sent a direct message.
Yeah.
And then I left a comment on your YouTube page.
That's what it was.
Right.
Yeah, and it honestly caught us by surprise, and it made our whole year because we worked so hard on not only the film, but Debbie and the Devil, but the documentary took us over a year to make. So that's a story in itself, and so we're just really proud of it, and it's really exciting to hear that people are discovering it and they appreciating it, and it really means the world.
Yeah, a lot of the.
Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just going to say, Captain Morgan here, our co-director of it, had to sift through how much? a lot, right? How was the experience, Captain Morgan?
It's like at least over 100, maybe 200 hours of footage of like interviews and BTS footage, and yeah, just making a story from a hodgepodge of media where the goal when filming it wasn't the intent to make a documentary, but then somehow turning it into a storyline. And also I just want to say I appreciate your review and some of the comments you made about certain sections, like the Mr. Red section of the story. He's like, oh, it made me sad. And I was like, perfect. That's what I wanted you to feel.
Yeah.
So I was glad to hear that perspective.
I had nothing but respect for you, and you opened up and you're sharing your background a little bit, and it was tough. It was tough. I was like, you could not be affected by not, but you could not be affected if you have a heart or a soul, you were going to be touched with what like you were there, you were honest, you're raw and honest. You're sitting there going like, it hasn't been easy for me. It's been really tough. I've gone through a lot of things, and then but you're still on both your feet and you're moving forward. So
I super appreciate that, Patrick. And I have to say, I mean, when we discovered your review of the film, it was literally like the night after our Halloween party, which is a big thing for us. And I walked outside in my backyard, and Chris, our partner, and April, they were watching your review. And so to go through all this stuff and Captain Morgan sifting through 100 hours to 200 hours of footage, April commanding the whole project of Hellacious, it's very valid, awesome to hear you appreciated it. And we just want to say cheers to you. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah.
What's really groovy too, is that Debbie and the Devil, is that you made it into an anthology film, and I really do appreciate that too, because anthologies are right, and I love them. And I'm watching it and I'm thinking there's a lot of heart here. The animation comes on, and then knowing, I would actually tell people, seriously, I would tell people to watch Hellacious first, because I think by watching Hellacious first, you will come back and watch Debbie and the Devil and appreciate it so much more for it.
100%.
Yeah, that's interesting. And that's
I think you're probably one of the few people that have watched those two movies in that order. We made Debbie and the Devil several years ago, so a lot of our fan base had seen Debbie and the Devil, and then they watched Hellacious, and it just created a new viewing experience and a new appreciation for the movie and for us too, because a lot of people didn't really know the story behind our company, how we came about, and then specifically Naz's backstory and all these other events that happened during those years. So I appreciate you saying that, because there was so many things that happened during the making of the movie that created Debbie and the Devil, that made it what it was.
Yeah, so we really appreciate it. So 3 cheers for Patrick. Cheers, cheers. Yeah.
Thank you so much. We have a chat here. I will keep up with the chat as we go on. Our good friend Reed says hello to you guys. Thank you for that, Reed.
How's it going?
So now you mentioned that Debbie and the Devil that came first. So let's talk a little bit. Let's talk about all you guys' origins just a little bit. And so like we'll go from April to Naz to Captain Morgan. And we'll ask you a little bit to tell us a little bit how you got your start in show business. How did you get your what was your first project? And then I want to know how you guys all met each other.
Oh wow. Yeah. Great. First project in the industry, that's a good question. I feel like it would go back to obviously community college. You work on several projects, even back to high school. That was the first time that I really started creating films. But really, it wasn't until I started to learn how to work on set through an AFI thesis project, learned how to produce as a PA, observed everything I could, hopped on many sets, just worked for free, just was asking many questions and gaining experience and meeting a lot of people. And then eventually I produced my own music video. It was called Just Feel So. I worked with this artist. He produces EDM tracks. And then I brought on some crew members that I met from college and other places. And that kind of started the process of me directing and producing projects on my own. And then, that was probably in 2015 or something like that. And ever since then, I've been producing and directing different people's projects, my own projects, working on sets. And then I guess fast forward, so since then I had worked on a project called Hollow Hour, which was happening about the same time that we're producing Debbie and the Devil. That was like my first official short film that is currently on the Wild 7 Studios YouTube channel. So that was one of my first big projects. And then fast forward to, was it 2017? I had been working with our other partner, Chris. We call him Silent Chris. He's not often on camera.
He's mysterious.
But he's the third member of Wild 7. So he and I met in college, and we had been working on all these projects. We met this DP one day who is great, amazing, very much a hustler. We worked with him on this music video very randomly, and at the end of the shoot, he basically asked us, like, would you guys be willing to meet a friend of mine? His name's Naz. He has a feature film and he needs a producer. And I see that you guys like to produce projects and you're good at it. And so that's sort of how we got connected. And so that was, like I said, 2017. So then Naz and I met at a coffee shop one day in, end of 2017.
In Glendale.
Yeah. And, this is after he had emailed me and showed me this teaser trailer for a movie called Debbie and the Devil. And I read the script. I really liked the script. I really liked the music cues that he put in his, scripts and stuff like that. And so then we just connected and we bonded over a lot of different things that we were, we had a lot of similarities, and we were sort of in very similar places in our careers where we wanted to make our first feature film. And so ever since then, that started Debbie and the Devil, the whole journey for Debbie and the Devil. That was also the origin story behind Wild 7 Studios. And so that's how Naz and I met. And then I'll let you guys sort of.
And it's
tell
been
the rest.
No interest at all. And you had no interest at all being in front of the camera then. I mean, you always knew you wanted to be behind it.
Oh, me?
Yes.
Yeah, no, not at all. I was very much afraid of the camera.
She can do it, but she's more.
Yeah, no, I hated being in front of the camera. It was never an interest. I would sometimes have to do it for friends in film school, but I was honestly very terrified of it. And honestly, thanks to Naz and his podcast, I sort of learned courage, and I was able to get over the fear of being in front of the camera and be on the mic. And now I'm not too terrified of it, and I've actually acted in my projects before. So
Amigas on Tubi also,
Yeah.
if you haven't checked it out.
Yeah,
Patrick, it's great.
Yeah. So I've been in my own projects and other people's, but definitely filmmaking was my number one.
Yeah, and just to piggyback on what April is saying, April really keeps things together here at the office, and she's we do this to her, we salute her, whatever that
Yeah.
yeah.
And so like Naz.
Do you have all the to run a studio? I mean, a lot of people say everybody's a master of everything, but you're what's that saying? A master of everything, or jack of all trades. A little bit about master of trade. But but now you each have a defined role within the studio. I mean, one person works on finance, one works on scripts, one works on locations. Do you each have a defined role, or is it just how it comes? However the project comes through the door.
That's a good question. I feel like it's very untraditional at Wild 7, especially amongst the three partners. We all were filmmakers when we started, and we still are directors, writers. But I would say my experience, my strong suit is producing and also directing and writing, but I sort of take on a lot of the producing tasks in that, which can entail scheduling and finances, accounting. And then Naz, his strengths are like writing and podcasting. So he brings a lot of the content creation and the writing, the directing to the table. And then our third partner, Chris, is also a director, producer, writer. And so he's also kind of helps, similar to the way that I work, with producing, getting clients, helping create our podcast network. He's very much like an ideas guy, but I think we
I love
all
the idea.
have
I love the
similarities.
idea.
Yeah.
I love the idea you guys have a podcast. I mean, that's really refreshing, and what a great way to get yourself out there. Publicity wise, you have a podcast,
Oh,
you go out there, you promote
Yeah.
it. People, you have guests on, you can have peers or friends on the show. I mean, what a great way to network too. A lot of times, the old days, you just go to a party
Mhm.
and try to meet people before you get too hammered. Before before that. Okay, I gotta meet at least 20 people before I get too drunk. With the
yeah.
Mhm.
podcast, you don't have to do that.
Yeah.
You can just come on in, sit down, talk to you, and peer to peer. Oh, and that's a great idea.
Yeah, definitely. And then, as for me, I always wanted to make films. One little tidbit of information that you might find interesting that really wasn't covered in the podcast was, so I wanted to make films since I saw Pulp Fiction, and that was like the career path that I wanted to take. But before that, the directors that I was aware of was like Tim Burton and stuff like that, and a little Scorsese. But for my entire adult life, I would just write scripts and make short films and stuff. And the thing that got us the money to make Debbie was I got cast in these commercials, like these big commercials that paid a lot of money. And so we used that money to make Debbie. So that's just a little detail. Like Bryan Cranston was in one of the commercials. It was pretty crazy. But yeah, just wanted to throw that out there, Patrick. But
You know,
aside from me, I mean, it's all in the doc. You know me. I'm the guy. Yeah.
uh, how about you, Captain Morgan? Is that what we're calling her? Are we calling Captain
Yes.
Morgan?
Yeah,
That's
yes.
Okay. I guess my first question to you would actually be like, how did you get the nickname of Captain Morgan?
Well, I started with working on the podcast. That's how I first met them. Was I was hired as a podcast intern, and when I came in, Naz was like, "We need to figure out a nickname for you because that's a perk of the podcast. Everyone has a nickname, like Silent Chris, Producer April." And originally, Naz called me General Morgan.
I did.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
And then so I just threw in like Captain Morgan, like the rum. And he was like, that's a lot better. That's good. And so that's kind of where it came from.
yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
So how did you get your start in this business? Or do you want to go deeper into your story, Naz? You can go ahead and
Well, I mean, about my story. It all started in Gresham, Oregon. I was just a country
Oh.
boy, No, I'm just kidding. No, I mean, really, my whole life is motivated by a love of movies and movie making. And as far as my backstory, sorry, I'm at like a loss of what to say about my backstory that hasn't been like in the doc or whatever, because I don't want to tell you something you already know. But I guess we're trying
yeah,
to.
but I know it, but our how that goes.
Right. You're exactly right. I was born in Portland, Oregon, but I grew up for the first 3 years of my life in Gresham, Oregon, which is like a very country place. And then the rest of my life, I was in Northern California, and we just moved around and stuff. And not to get like psychoanalyst or something, I think because we moved a lot, I cling to films and books and stuff like that because that's very stable, and it's like you go into a world that you understand and stuff. And apart from that, unfortunately, some tragedy in the life, but I don't, and I recommend everybody to watch the documentary and find out what that tragedy is. But the thing is, I mean, Patrick, honestly, human to human, I mean, we all have tragedies and stuff. We all have things that we have to deal with. And I think when we were making the doc, this isn't totally off topic, but when we were making the doc, at some point, it could only go so far without me sort of volunteering that information and stuff. I strongly encourage your audience to watch the documentary. Watch it Patrick style, we'll call it. Watch Hellacious first, and then watch Debbie and the Devil. But at some point, I realized in order for this to sort of kick it into the level of, say, Coppola's Hearts of Darkness, I have to bare my soul a little bit. And so that's what I did. And I remember when I decided I think I should do that, barcade, and Captain Morgan was there, and we were out. Oh, are you there? Patrick, are you there? Okay, cool. I can see you now. And we were outside, and I said, Captain Morgan, this is not verbatim, but I said, I could really make this thing, not that it wasn't good before in its construction and the way April and Captain Morgan were putting it together. They were putting it together really, really cool and stuff. And it was a great making of doc. But the thing is, when you're doing a making of doc or making of documentary, you could either make it really fluffy and everybody's sucking each other's dicks. Sorry, ladies, or you could really make it like a true work of art where you just bare your soul, and hopefully people like Patrick will get it and understand the pain of creating something. I hope that was sufficient, Patrick. Answer.
That was that's a perfectly way to state it. I mean, I think every director or every creative worth their salt has some sort of tragedy in them that spurs them or helps them or guides them. I mean, it doesn't define you. It's not like your incident didn't, your upbringing didn't define you. What you did is you took it, you got strength from it, and then you applied it to what you wanted to do with it, and it comes through. I guess for someone like yourself, you would say that you're the type of director, a creator that wears his heart, wears the heart on the sleeve, And that's a really good place to be, because a lot of directors or a lot of creators, they feel like they have to be closed off, like I can only show my emotion when there's nobody around,
Right. Yeah.
And I don't necessarily think so. I think sometimes it's good to allow your inner self, your background, your life experiences come out through your craft. I mean, we see it.
Yeah. I mean, it's like right here with this conversation, I could sit here and just be phony and give you the dick sucky answers, or I could just connect with you the way we're doing, and we're talking and stuff. It's like my thing in art is authenticity. And mind you, I mean, we're in a business too, so you're balancing those things. And I think April and I, we struggle with that every day, the commerce and the art, and Captain Morgan super struggles with it, because she's all about money. But that's the thing that we live. Walt Disney said, we don't make movies to make money. We make money to make movies. And I don't know, we just, around here, we're so cinema centric and love movies. And I can't wait at the end of the weekend to come in on Monday and talk about the movies that we all watched and stuff. And that's our life. And I know, last thing I'll say, just, I understand that the doc, it gets really heavy and it's very like, oof, that's a lot. But mind you, Patrick, like I seriously think I live the greatest life. I work with the greatest people, and we have fun creating, and I'm very happy every day, day by day.
And it definitely shows in Debbie and the Devil. I mean, the whole movie is so light and so fun, and it's gory, but it's not like, it's not gratuitous. There's a for if you watch the documentary, and or if you didn't watch the documentary, or that's all you saw was the documentary, you would sit there and say, wow, this is so heavy. But then when you watch Debbie and the Devil, you see that there's a lot of humor there. I mean, there's a lot of fun there. And the chemistry with your cast is really strong as well. Your cast is really, it's you can definitely tell they enjoy being there shooting the movie. It comes out. Even the ones that are going to be dying horrible deaths, you can still feel that they're going to be there. They were glad to be there, and the positive energy comes out in their performances. And that, of course, comes from the director. So, Captain Morgan, what about?
Well,
we have a good team, but Naz is great with his actors. He's very much an actor, director, directors.
I'm a genius. I'm a genius.
So let's get the first of all, Captain, I'm noticing you have sort of a brace on your hand. So what happened to your wrist there?
So like right before this interview, I went to the doctor and I had like, they call it a ganglion cyst, which is just a cyst on your wrist. I had it like drained, and then I came here, and so that's what this is from.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna be honest. She didn't follow the rules around here. No, I'm just
Oh my
kidding.
gosh.
I'm joking.
I did question. I literally came out of the doctor's office and got my car. I was just like, holy shit, because it hurt.
Oh,
It was a
man.
big needle. I didn't know that.
Are
But
you
yeah,
okay?
the entire. Now I'm good.
You're good.
Yeah, but the entire drive over here, because I literally got out of the office, got in my car, and drove here because I wanted to be here on time. The entire time I was just like, holy shit, that would hurt. Holy.
Oh man.
Pardon my French.
Damn.
But
no, you're good.
Oh wait, are we allowed to cuss here? Because I said dick sucky like 2
Yeah.
times.
Nope, you're good. Hell yeah, you can curse.
Thanks.
What about what? Well, wait a minute. How about your podcast? Do you allow cursing on your pod, or you?
Oh
do
yeah.
you- oh, okay.
You don't give a fuck.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes you just get out there. You just gotta let that freak fly. The freak flag fly. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So okay, so you made it over in time. I mean, we're not too far behind. We're catching up. So
Yeah.
what about your origin story, Captain Morgan? How did you get involved in this roller coaster ride?
So for me, originally, I was really like, before I met Wild 7, I was actually studying music production. Because I was like a percussionist in like high school, and then in college I was, playing music. So I was like, okay, maybe I'll like music production. Maybe that's what I'll do with my life. And then when the pandemic hit, because I was still in school, I kind of realized, I was like, oh, I don't really like it so much. And I ended up watching a lot of movies because there wasn't really anything else to do. And then so I was like, oh, maybe like, because I like the sounds in films, like, just like the sound effects and everything like that. So I was like, oh, maybe I should try going into film, like film sound. And then I think it was like 2021 where things were kind of starting to wind down. And I was like, well, I want to try to get into film. Let me see. And I found a LinkedIn post for Wild 7 that said podcast intern. I didn't really want to do podcasts, but I saw that they were a movie studio, and you guys like had your film, or like you had like stuff up. So I was like, okay, well, let me try this, see how it goes and everything. So I like, did the interview with Chris and all that. And I lied. I'm not going to lie. I didn't ever listen to podcasts. I was just like, I can do it. No worries. I got it.
Yeah. Chris mentioned that he was like, I think she was lying when she said she listened to the show. And we were like, we.
No, I listened to like maybe 20 minutes of one.
Oh, really? Oh, okay,
yeah.
okay.
But I was just like,
I
was like,
nice comeback, Captain. Let me help the captain out. How many podcasts you've seen of mine, Naz and
Patrick? I've seen several. And they're all fantastic.
He's lying.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. Patrick, you're great though. We love your thing,
we're looking forward to learning more about them.
Yeah. I did watch some of them.
Good answers.
Hey, Patrick, did you interview the guy that directed Color Out of Space?
Yes.
You
Yes.
did? Okay, well, I'm watching that one.
Oh, that's so
I
cool.
was planning on watching that one after we did this one to sort of come down from the high of doing this one, because this is fun.
Yeah.
Patrick, thanks for having us. Anyway,
Oh my gosh, yeah, that's a great. That was a lot of fun talking to him.
Oh, nice.
I
Okay.
love that movie. Yeah.
Really nice guy. Really nice guy. And it was like a real honor to talk to him. And he himself had to overcome a mountain. I think it was a different type of mountain than yours, Naz. But I think but you could, you're director, so you can speak director talk.
Right, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, no, I look forward to hearing that one. But yes, Captain Morgan, more of your story.
Oh, right.
Sorry, I didn't interrupt.
So I got hired to be a podcast intern, but they were asking me, they're like, oh, do you want to get into film? Because you guys still were looking for people in film. So I was like, yeah, I've never done it before, but I'd love to learn. And so my first day, they called me like, or they texted me the day before, and they're like, "Hey, can you be like the boom guy for our short film?" I was like, I've never done it before, but sure, I'll try it out. And so that was my first day with Wild 7, was being the boom guy on like their short. But like,
The boom guy.
yeah, boom guy. I don't know.
Were you hooked the first day? Be honest. Were you when you after you lifted the boom mic, right, and you were doing that? Were you hooked right on that first day as this is what I want to do? I want to do this for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it was chaotic, and we were going from here to like a different location, and it was like, it was like 10-hour day at least, maybe. And I was like, I'm exhausted, but that was fun, so
We threw her in the deep end. We're like,
Yeah.
sink or swim.
yeah.
And
I
she
loved
swam.
it. Yeah, I
Swam.
loved it. Yeah.
That's
Same thing with,
Yep, that's exactly how I got my start. I got my start by sink or swim. I didn't know anything about live music. I'm not a musician. I never played an instrument in my life. And next thing you know, this is would you like to come here and learn how learn how to run sound? I said okay, and there I went.
yeah, exactly.
I had no experience with it. And next thing you know, yeah.
Nice.
It's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the best way to learn sometimes.
It is. I mean, that's how I got into the video editing. Same thing. I was a podcast intern, and so technically my first project with video editing, like the doc, was making the animation journals.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so they were there's a little tidbit of it in Hellacious where we focus on Naz learning how to animate.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Oh.
Story in
Man,
itself.
I tell you, I almost shipped you the Cheetah for that when I heard about the animation story.
Yeah.
I almost shipped the Cheetah out to you.
Thank you.
Yes, that guy. Oh, there's an old saying, and I've learned this too. Never let friends do anything for you that say, "I'll do it for free." Never do it. Never, ever, ever. Because when you say, "I can do it and no problem, I won't charge you anything," you're screwed. Because there's absolutely no pressure on them to do anything. They're not getting paid for it, and they'll tell you that. I'm not getting paid for it. No, I'd rather go ahead and sit there and say, "Listen, I appreciate the offer. Doing it for free looks on paper looks awesome, but I think I'm going to spend the money and make sure I get it done right and on time."
Patrick, don't get me started on that guy. He was a total scumbag. Scumbag
yes,
of the planet. He is lower than a cockroach.
He is.
Yeah.
I was one of the most maddening stories I ever heard, and since I've been doing this, I was so frustrated. And you guys had the patience of Job. So what we're talking about here is there's I'm gonna let you explain to the chat. Tell us a little bit about how that happened. And like I said, you guys, I mean, I would have said after 3 weeks, I would have been over at his house taking his tongue out through his throat. But you guys were so patient.
We live and we learn. Do you want me to take this?
Go for it. Yeah.
Well, I'll start it.
Because I'll be so inflammatory. You'll get banned.
Honestly, when I think about the whole process, I get really angry. It's like PTSD for me. But basically, like you mentioned, we were filming our movie Debbie and the Devil in segments. Like, because it was an anthology film, we filmed, we took a break, we crowdsourced, we would film, and so on. And so when we finished the 3 parts, the 3 films within the movie, we had to complete the wraparound device, it takes place in a theater. At this point, we ran out of money. We're very much almost out of money. We were exhausted. We just want to finish this movie. And I think it was your idea, Naz, to animate the wraparound device. We thought it might be easier or less expensive, which we didn't really know anything about animation at the time. And, anybody that knows anything about
original. I thought it was pretty damn original.
Right? I mean, everything worked out the way it was supposed to. But so we decided to do animation. This is our first time making a feature. This is our first time working in animation. So we were looking for people on Craigslist, and you know how that can go. Nothing wrong with that, but it's very much hit or miss. We found a lot of great people off of Craigslist, but unfortunately we found this individual.
Sometimes you win with Craigslist. Sometimes
Craigslist. I'm laughing because I'm thinking about Craigslist, but we've talked to actors who've gotten their start off of Craigslist. they got
It
my first job off there. I mean, it's definitely hit and miss, but there's been actors that I've talked to that's what happened. They answered a Craigslist ad, and then it's the last thing you would think of, like, so how did you get your start in show business? Well, off of Craigslist. It's the
Yeah.
last answer. It's the last answer you think that you would ever hear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a useful tool.
There's a lot of gems, a lot of opportunities, but there's also a lot of scams.
Mm.
So basically, we find this individual has a great resume, has a great reel, worked on some notable projects. We're like, oh, great, we like his style. And Naz had already created the illustrations, like the concept art for this animation. And so we figured this person would be a good fit. So we reach out, we sort of explain to him what we need, and we explain we mention how much money we have for this project. We were very indie, so if you watch the documentary, you know how indie we really are, like micro, low budget.
Yeah.
We did have a little bit of money to pay him. Like you said, it's if you just ask for something for free, you'll never see it. But
Yeah.
I guess that can happen even if you pay somebody. So we embark on this mission together. We even met this individual in Vegas to meet in person because we just really wanted to just connect and vibe him out. And we thought it was a good vibe. We were all friendly. We had a contract. He signed it. He agreed to complete the project. Like it was like a 15-minute animation, which is kind of insane. But it was a 2D kind of South Park style.
Right.
But he said, he could do it in it was 3 weeks, right?
Yeah, he said 3 weeks. What a douchebag.
Right. And we're like, okay, well, all right then, if you say so, And basically, as the time progresses, he starts to just make a lot of these excuses, and we're just trying to touch base with him every week. And somehow, I don't even know how to explain this to you because I don't even know how we got here. I don't even know how this happened. 3 weeks turned into a year and a half. Like, I don't how this happened, because this was during the pandemic. This was like 2020. So we had a lot of extra time to sort of finish this movie. Luckily, we were in post-production and in this animation stage. But somehow, he keeps asking for these extensions. And because we're kind people and we're also going through this collective, pandemic, this really awful time, we just have sympathy for the guy. And
well, he's real talk. Do you remember? Okay, like real talk, Patrick. You tell me what you would do in this situation. We're like, okay, you got any animation, man? It's been like 7 months. He's like,
I would have given him the 6 weeks that he said. And
right.
I would have said, the 6 weeks. I might have given him another maybe a week or so extension after that, but after that I would have cut him off.
Yeah,
you're done.
He kept giving.
I say return the money we sent you, or if you hadn't paid him yet, or what have you. I mean, if you hadn't paid him yet, I wouldn't have paid him. And then let him chase you for a while. But no, there's no way in hell I sit there a year and a half for him.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely learned and would never do that again, and would do things so differently if it were today. But it was just a strange situation. It's if you watch the documentary, you would sort of know about the journals that he would send us. There were like these explainer videos that were very well produced. And so basically we paid him to start, and then we would check in, and then he sort of delivered these videos that were explaining what he was doing. But because we weren't familiar with the process, we didn't really know what it was. He would get on his webcam and he'd sort of, it was like a 10-minute video explaining what he was doing. He was designing these little like popcorn, like 3D popcorn elements, but then he would just talk in circles for 10 minutes about this new animation technology that he was working on that's going to be revolutionary.
Right.
And it's like, wait, hold on a second. We didn't ask for this.
No.
And it was just like he was talking in circles. And because we weren't familiar with all the animation, like lingo and the whole process of making it, we were just sort of a little bit like lost in that regard.
Yeah.
And then it turned personal. When we would check in, he would start to bring up things that were like in his personal life. And then
it's very personal for me watching him string you along. I was watching. I was so pissed. I was so pissed. I'm going like, man, if this guy worked for me, that just would never work.
Thank you, Pat.
I thought
he would say, You guys don't understand. My brother tried to kill me. Like, your brother tried to kill you? What a loser. You know?
Yeah, I was like, okay, well, before he does, can you give my shit to me like we agreed upon? You know,
Yes.
before he kills you, could you at least send my work in to me so I don't have to
Yeah.
go, you know, I don't have to go chase it. You know,
Yeah. He was,
my car caught on fire. Okay, that's awesome. Can you send me the work that you owe me before the car burns up? I mean, you know,
Yeah.
send me the rear window or something, you know, for a souvenir. You know,
He was a con artist.
totally
yeah,
called.
Conned us.
Mm.
I mean, and the thing is, like, later we found online he was on a scam alert thing. Like, he ripped someone off for like $20 or something like that.
No, it was
Like,
more than that.
it was more than
and it
that.
was several people.
And it's alleged. I'm not saying, but what a douchebag, right, Patrick? And
oh,
and
no
Patrick,
doubt.
we like that you hate who we hate. So I'll send you a list of more people that have wronged us.
Oh, you know what? You have a podcast?
Yeah.
Man, I can't think of a better subject than that, than you know, the pitfalls of indie filmmaking and using that as one of their stories of cautionary tale. You know,
Oh,
if you get, you know, because you know, most of the time I hear indie stories, I hear most of the time is that the actors don't show up, or some of the crew guys don't show up. You know,
Mhm.
they don't, you know, it's like you hear that all the time with indie films. It happens.
Yeah.
It's the bane of indie films. It's like, you know, we get a project together, get a crew together. But one thing I noticed with you guys, and I mentioned this off camera before you got here, on camera before you got here, was your team is so tight and so like a well-oiled machine. That comes through in the documentary.
Oh,
I was actually comparing you to another filmmaker that I know named Todd Sheets, and he's a filmmaker out of Missouri.
Mm.
And he absolutely he has like 40, 50 people there, right? I'm telling you, if he told them to jump off the cliff, they would sit there and say, "How high?"
oh my
Yeah.
god.
They work so well together. They're so, you know, it's just a well-oiled machine. And I saw that with your crew, you know, and like, man, these guys are so, you know, because most of the time something like this, it could have broke apart everybody. Everybody could have might have just said, "Fuck it," you know, we're out of here.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, this film's been out in the shelf now for a year and a half.
Yeah.
Is it ever going to get made? You know, and they could have just up and left, but they didn't. They stayed in the fight with you. I think it speaks a lot of who you are as people and as professionals. That happened.
Yeah. And you know why the guy was such a loser? It's the fact. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah.
No, thank you for the kind words. Yeah.
Thank you, Patrick.
Yeah,
And-
there was a lot of instances where, you know, like specifically one night when there was all these, we're filming a gore scene, and this is in the documentary, but long story short, we were going well past our 12 hours, and we're working with gore, like blood, prosthetics, and we weren't going to finish. It was just impossible. And we had lost our AD because he had to, it was a long story, but he had to leave. And so we ended up having to decide that we needed to come back the next day. But then, you know, Naz, being the director that he is, gathered everybody around, had a little, you know, he did a little speech and basically convinced everybody to stick around to make great art and to finish this movie. Because honestly, if we didn't, we wouldn't have made the movie that we made. And so luckily everybody was down. And so there was a lot of instances like that.
Yeah.
But the animation was the hardest.
Yeah. Let's
I
get
like the animation you did.
That was the
You know.
hardest thing.
Yeah.
this guy. He was loser squared, Patrick. Like, he had
Oh,
so
yeah.
weird problems that he would talk about, where he would be like, my brothers and sisters after my dad died tried to kill me. Like all of his brothers and sisters apparently tried to kill him because he's just such
Do you still have this stuff on tape?
You know what's funny? We had a few interactions, and I felt, look, the thing is, I'm a nice dude. If somebody fucks with me, like, I'm not gonna like make some macho statement, but if someone fucks with me, I'll do karate, I'll do kung fu, I'll do everything that I can to stop them from fucking with me. And the thing is, I like to believe that people are good. I don't want to believe that people are out scamming people weirdly and
Yeah.
stuff. And that's what he was doing. So I was like very shocked and honestly, Patrick, a little bit hurt.
Yeah.
Sure, I don't blame you. I don't blame you. I don't blame any filmmaker that goes through that hell, and then, you know, and because look, you're already up against it already, right? You got you know, next to, you know, small budgets, micro budgets, you know, you're already up against it already. And you don't need that sort of weight on your shoulders, to bear, to weigh down things. It's just like, can you work with us here? Can you give us what you promised? I'll only ask you if you had the tape still left, because I'm just thinking to myself, going like, I would make those bumpers on my podcast.
Right.
I would actually do. That's exactly what I do. I would make bumpers out of him complaining, and then let that lead into my segment of my podcast, and then that's what I would do. Because I would maybe I wouldn't name him per se, but I would definitely run his voice out there and come up, now have you how did you guys decide that you were going to come up with an anthology theme for Debbie and the Devil? It seems like Debbie and the Devil would seem to be more of a straightforward film. So what led you to become to do anthology, and what anthology films inspired you to do one?
That's a you question.
Okay. Well, Patrick.
I think there's.
Yeah. Well, and hopefully there's like aspiring filmmakers out there. I knew that I could make an anthology film with a limited budget, because if you're doing an anthology film, you could shoot a little bit and then regroup, let your finances replenish, and then shoot a little bit more. But the secret to it was having the thorough line, having a sort of like having it be a consistent story and stuff. And I would say my favorite anthology film is Creepshow. I love that film. April, do you love that film? Yes.
I didn't originally love the film, but I really appreciate the film. Now I do.
I am a full 10 years older than April, so everything that I like, it's like historical for her, and so it's a constant tug of war, the films, what we like.
Did you like the Leslie Nielsen story though?
I love it.
What's that? Sorry, go ahead.
Did you like the anthology? Did you like the Leslie Nielsen story with Ted Danson?
What's funny is I saw that in second grade, and I rented it from the library, and for me it was a big deal that I'm watching like a rated R horror film. And when I saw Leslie Nielsen in it and Ted Danson, remember Ted Danson in it?
Oh, yeah,
Oh, these funny guys are in this like horror film. And I adored that film. And honestly, that was the kind of thing that I was trying to recreate. But again, I wanted it to be one piece. And the thing is, all of it was just ideas in my head, and things that the DP Lucas Patasi we were working on, who we met through a friend, Jesse, until I met April, and we were able to like click on what we wanted to achieve and stuff. And if there are,
I will say that when Naz first approached me with the script, it wasn't an anthology at all. It was, I guess it had elements of it, but it was very different from what it turned out to be. And I guess just honestly, the film that you see today is due to like budget constraints, but I think we did an amazing job with the very limited budget that we had, and it ended up being the movie that it was meant to be. Like, I know it sounds very cheesy to say that, but through Naz animating himself and us getting creative with the structure,
I'm going to tell you something you might not have heard so far, but I think your film really works because you did one thing correctly that a lot of anthologies and more experienced filmmakers have made a mistake on. That is, you limited the stories till 3. That is the best stories that you could tell in an anthology, because you let the story breathe, you let it come to life, and you have a beginning, a middle, and the end. Too many anthologies try to cram in like 8 or 9 stories, and it never works. It falls apart.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
3 stories and a wraparound are absolutely the perfect size. It really is.
And they're all interconnected.
And Patrick, I love you for saying that.
Oh no, I can't stand an anthology that just tries to jam in 10 stories. The only time that ever worked, because it was designed to work that way, was the ABCs of Death.
Right.
That was the only one. That's the only time where that's actually where it was applied to. That
or
worked.
VHS. I love the VHS films, but it's like they're very different.
I like you.
interconnected as like Debbie and the Devil.
Yeah.
Because all of the stories are part of the same universe.
Let me say that again.
Movies you like.
Hey, Steven in the chat. Yeah, I like you. So,
Oh, what did Steven say?
we're talking because I absolutely love VHS too.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Oh my God. The first one came out with Amateur Night, and Hannah Fierman comes out there as Lily, the succubus.
Oh my God.
I like you. Oh man, it looks so good.
That one's so good. Oh.
Were there? So Creepshow was your inspiration, your favorite. How about you? Since you didn't like Creepshow, you grew to appreciate it. But what's your favorite anthology film, April? And then Captain Morgan.
I feel like, I didn't really know about the older anthology films, to be honest with you. So my favorite is probably VHS. I know it's more modern, but it's honestly one of the best. It's the scariest. Yeah. It's just the found footage element of it makes it scarier to me. I love pure horror. Also love horror comedy, but I love a good scare, and I think it was done so well.
I think so too. I love VHS. It's the bomb.
Yeah.
What about you, Captain Morgan? What do you got for us?
Honestly, I don't even know what anthology means, if I'm gonna be real.
That's okay.
I wasn't there for the Debbie and the Devil making. I just did the documentary after.
Okay.
But yeah,
the anthology is just like multiple films in a film. Like, I don't know if you ever saw VHS. Sometimes it's like or like All Hallows Eve with Art the Clown.
Different stories.
Where like they find like a tape and they play them sometimes, and then it goes into the story worlds, and there's like several different stories.
Yeah. See, Captain Morgan.
People didn't realize that art had appeared in anthology films before. Before it popped up in Terrifier. I think he had made appearances in in 3 or 4, maybe even 5 other movies.
Yeah, I know they did the short film, which I think was called Terrifier. And then they had All Hallows Eve, which I actually really liked. I'm a huge fan of Terrifier.
Yeah.
We actually interviewed Casey from Terrifier 2 on the podcast.
Nice.
Salted up and stuff.
Yeah, Casey Hartnett. Yeah.
Very nice person.
Our friend Steven in the chat, I don't know if he's still here or not, but he got to interview David Howard Thornton.
Oh, awesome.
Oh, nice, Steven.
Yeah, I know, right?
It's on our list too.
Yeah. It's really cool though. I remember seeing him on a couple of other podcasts before Terrifier broke, and then it happened for him. And this thing, now he's huge. And I'm so happy for him. And I got to ask him right off the bat. I'm sitting there watching the first Terrifier, and I'm going like, I've come to the conclusion about one thing with art. And that is art likes cats. And so I actually asked him that. On in threads. I asked him. I says, "I got a serious question for you. Does Art the Clown like cats?" And he goes, "Absolutely, 100%. He loves the cats. He loves." I was like, he is now and forever my favorite horror icon.
I love it. No,
hey, wait a minute. Oh, so okay.
Horror icon.
He's cutting the girl in half. He's cutting the girl in half. That's all right. He likes cats, though. What can I say? Everybody's got their hang-ups.
Oh yeah.
I remember after Terrifier 2, April had seen it and she came into the office all excited.
I saw it in theaters and I didn't even know it was out. I was very excited.
Very fun movie-going experience, Terrifier 2.
Yeah.
Do you believe that more gore is the way to go in a horror film? I mean, what is over the line for you as far as horror films go, both as creators and as viewers?
That's a great question. You want to go first, or?
You want to go first?
I love the gore.
Yeah.
I like the gory horror movies personally. I just watched Evil Dead.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Nice.
It was a little strange, but I like the gore. So I say the more gore the better, but use it. Still make a story out of it for sure.
Yeah. I think for me as a creator and as an audience member, I'm the same way. I love gore. I'm desensitized to a lot of it, but where I draw the line is when it comes to torture porn.
Yeah, me
you
too.
know, and yeah, it's a very fine line, but I'm not comfortable with like, like the abuse of women on screen. But it has to be done like it's like equal rights, you know what I mean? Like if you're gonna torture the woman, torture the man as well. So as long as it doesn't feel like gross in that way, where it's coming from a very evil place.
Yeah, it doesn't. It does. You mentioned that, and it does seem to be that way. If you watch a lot of horror, even the classic horror from like Halloween
Mhm.
or Friday the 13th or Texas Chainsaw Massacre or whatever it is you watch, if you really watch the death scenes, it does seem to me that like I remember the first time I saw a torture porn film was I Spit on Your Grave.
Mm.
And good Lord, for 30 minutes, for 30 minutes, that she gets chased around, she gets assaulted, and this and that. And you're sitting there, man. I watched this for 30 minutes. I feel like I need a freaking shower, like
Right,
20
right,
minutes.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
The
then when it
final,
came down for her
yeah.
revenge, all of a sudden it's like done in 5 minutes. And
Right,
I'm going like, you know what? I don't want that to be over in 5 minutes. I want 25 more minutes of those fuckers being tormented.
Right.
right,
Right.
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 You know,
Yeah.
that's what I want. I don't like that, and it still happens in horror today, where it's like a woman will suffer more than a man on screen.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
100%.
yeah. And that's an interesting question because, like, for me, like, say I love a film like Ichi the Killer. I don't know if you've ever seen that, Patrick, but there are parts of it that are almost indefensible. Like, there are some people in the world that cannot watch Ichi the Killer. It would be very triggering for them and traumatic.
Mhm.
But I recognize the artistry behind it. But then you have
Mhm.
like other films, like, say, and I've never seen this film because for me, I guess that's the line, but a Serbian film.
Yes.
I haven't seen
Yeah.
that. I'm
Yeah.
good. I don't need to.
Mhm.
I'm okay. I get it. I read the wiki
Yeah.
of what's in it, and I don't need to see that. And for
No.
me, that's the line. Now, somebody else can watch that and tell me there's artistic merit in it. But for me, I'm okay. I'm good. I don't need to see a Serbian film, but I'll watch Ichi the Killer any day of the week to show a friend or something like
Sure.
that.
Sure. It's funny because because I don't like torture porn either. I'm just like you, April. I don't like it at all. I won't watch a Serbian film.
Yeah.
But I did watch Martyrs. I liked it. I
Right.
thought
Oh,
I thought it was interesting.
I've heard it's good.
I watched the Human Centipede.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Yeah, same.
I was sitting there going like, I'm going like, what's really fucked up about this movie is absolutely destroying Silence of the Lambs for me. I mean, I'm just looking at him going like,
Mhm.
oh, it's ruining it for me. I can't watch Silence of the Lambs because it's no longer gonna scare me at all.
Yeah.
You know,
That guy that scammed us, his life is Human Centipede. I just wanted to say that.
I was the Centipede is like the first two movies. I mean, I've heard of them. I haven't seen the second one yet. And I just watched that. I'm just like, this is amazing. Now, would I go out there? Rewatch it again? I would only rewatch that movie if I was showing it with friends.
Right. Right.
It's
Yeah.
not a movie I'm gonna grab by myself and go like, oh yeah, for a Saturday matinee, I got a sandwich.
Yeah.
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 Just
Do you get inspired creative wise when you do see other people like come up with some interesting stunts on camera? Like I mean, like if you watch, so you see someone get their foot caught up in a trap, and you go like, that'd be that'd be really good. That would be interesting to fit into a story. Do you get inspired by other people's work as far as the traps or the gore or the method of death, or how do you come up with your own ideas of how you're gonna kill your actress in her movie?
That's a good question. I do get inspired by for me, I get inspired by other people's gore and stuff. I think it's fun when somebody pulls off like a good effect. And I'm always looking if somebody did it digitally or did it practically. And I'm always kind of comparing the two. But yeah, that's me. That's for me. Yeah. What about you?
Yeah. Well, I personally, as a director, haven't made a gruesome horror film. I've only produced them. So,
Yeah. So
but I'm always very
But
interested.
as a producer, isn't the producer's job though? I mean, a director can sit there and say, "Yeah, throw another eight more buckets of gore on it."
Yeah.
But as a producer,
Mhm.
isn't the producer's role to sit there and say, do you have because you have to look through the movie not so much creative wise, but you have to look through the movie business wise.
Right.
Like, okay, now if I'm a director, I love the fact the idea we're going to kill everybody in this room, with a blender. I like that idea. But as a producer, I got to look at it like, yeah, if I did that, would I be able, can I get it past
yeah,
the
of course.
R-rating? Yeah.
I've
So
had
how do you balance that with the director? How do you tell a director when he's gone too far or hasn't gone far enough?
That's a good question, because sometimes, like, when I was reading the script, I was thinking, wow, this is insane. Like, this is insanity. It's a little too far. And I think that we had toned it down from the beginning a little bit. But looking at it now, I feel like we should have gone a little bit harder with it. But as far as the gore and the kill scenes, but also that comes with more spending. So we did what we could with the amount of, like, the budget that we had for special effects and blood. So I'm happy with the amount of kill scenes and blood that there is. I wish we just would have had more, honestly. But luckily, we worked with a really great blood effects guy named Robert Bravo. And so it's a great thing for me. I love working with people that are just masters at their jobs. So if you hire people that are pros, then you don't really have to worry too much. And, so between us, Naz, myself, and Robert, we would sort of talk about the different options for these kill scenes. And he would always have a backup. He'd always have, this is the expensive version, this is the cheap version, or this is a version if we have more time. This is a version that you'll get if you give me 5 minutes. And sometimes that would happen too. Like, specifically, there's like this neck bite scene in one of the movies. We were supposed to have more time to set that up, but things happen and we didn't. And so we gave him like 5 minutes to set up the hose, like the fire hose.
Right.
So it actually turned out different than we planned, but that's okay because it looks really cool. But all these members don't really know that, so it is what it is. But that's kind of the process.
Let's talk a little bit about casting, because here you are, you got your movie. One thing. I should have said this beginning. I really wanted to compliment you guys on this. Your opening credits. That opening credit that montage with the song,
Nice.
That was absolutely fire. That was one. Oh my gosh, I was sitting there going like, I wonder if they could cut that and put it into another movie, because that was absolutely brilliant. I loved it. I hope you do that again.
Patrick, you're my new favorite person, for real.
I love the intro of Debbie and the Devils. It was gorgeous. Who made that?
Well, that was my brother had showed me that song Massacre by Ananda Jacobs, who's an artist. I think right now she's based out of Japan. And he had showed me that song many years ago, I think more than a decade before we even made Debbie. And for the longest time, I always thought that's a great song. I hope to use it because it's kind of like, it's not like a Top of the Pops song. So I thought we might have a chance of getting it. And then that scrolling thing of Debbie, I've had that in my head since I was in my early 20s, since I was like 21 or 20. Just the idea of like scrolling. It feels like a vintagey kind of almost spaghetti westerny kind of thing, and that's where I came up.
Did you get a contact with the singer to get permission, or did you tell them what you had to? Did she ask you where were you going to put the movie?
This is actually kind of a good story. Naz loved that song, and I really wanted to make that happen for him and for us because I loved it too. And so I reached out to her, and she responded, which was awesome. A lot of times people reach out to people and they just won't even get back. But she had a lot of follow-up questions about it, which I really appreciate when an artist is like precious about their art, because he should be. And she was sort of just asking like the placement of it. Like, she wouldn't really let us use it for the movie, but it was okay for the opening credits. And she just kind of had to know where exactly we were going to use it and like what visuals were going to be shown, because she was more concerned about like, I guess, the juxtaposition of like the music and the visuals, and like, because that song meant something to her and she didn't want it to come off a different way.
Yeah.
So she kind of had a lot.
I'm going to have a beheading scene to your song. Well, I'd rather not that. I'd rather you not.
Yeah. So, it was just like a back and forth, and then we just agreed on it, and I don't even know if she's seen that yet.
We
gotta
must
reach
ask
out to her.
Ananda, are you there?
Yeah.
Have you had her on? Have you had her on as a guest on the podcast?
No.
No, but that's an excellent idea,
You should
and I'm going
reach
to put
out.
that in my notes.
Yeah, thanks for all these great ideas, though.
Yeah. Come down to LA, we'll hang.
Yeah.
No doubt. Captain Morgan, what do you think? Are there movies that'll push you to your limit? And how important is a good score to you? I mean, do you get moved by music in a movie? Does that help undesensitize you? Now, I'll put that all to three of you. Does music help undesensitize you? Can a good score still affect you emotionally when you watch a film?
Yes, absolutely. I think having a good score can be that like key element to like bring an audience member to like that emotional point for a lot of movies. I don't know, that's at least personally for me, that's how it is. Like I can watch a movie pretty desensitized, but it's like once I hear the music behind it and like, you know, like a good build up and everything like that, I feel like that kind of drives me to where my emotions need to be during specific points. So I think they're very much needed. And I do also really like your guys's intro title song. It is very like, it is a good mood setter.
Yeah.
Like, oh, what we're coming to. Yeah.
And
Whoever planned that out. Do you storyboard, Naz? Did you storyboard that intro, or how did that intro come into being?
I don't think I storyboarded that, but that was a lot of like us.
Our editor, specifically.
Yeah, like finding the right stills for that. Our editor Charles Exley. That wasn't storyboarded, but I do generally have a plan when we're shooting on a shoot day, because I hate the idea of going on set without a plan is scary and not a nice thing.
Yeah.
But no. And as far as music, music is the most important thing in the world for a movie, and along with visuals. Like for instance, I just saw Poor Things, and there's a track that I've listened to 50 million times called London on the soundtrack, and I've just listened to it a million times, and it's just part of the magic of cinema. And and I understand people that are hard of hearing, they have the visuals and stuff too, but it's like when all of them together, it's very nice. It's
I think a score can save a movie.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I mean, look at It Follows.
Oh, I love it. But it's a great film. Like it shouldn't ever carry
it's a great film, but that score is what really pushed it from being good to greatness. That score is absolutely just fantastic. It's just like it had you like looking over your head. You're looking over your shoulder.
Oh yeah.
And that just elevated the movie. And I think with your opening, sort of did, because whereas It Follows, it jarred the shit out of you. Like, you're looking up and there's your grandma right there and that big noise. And it's just like, holy shit, don't scare me like that. And then you got your movie where it's like, has such a soft and soft beginning. And it's just like luring you in, you're getting comfortable. And then you pop it. And
right.
I like that aspect of it too. I like a good jolt.
Yeah. I love it.
It's well produced by April Mendoza.
Well directed. Everyone did a great
and the
job
documentary was well made by Captain Morgan. Yes. You see how we validate each other.
So let's talk about your casting methods. So how does that work? Is that all three of you guys get together? Who acts as casting director for Wild 7 Studios?
I think we all sort of take on different roles depending on the project. So like if somebody's directing and another person's producing, that producer will sort of lead it. But like for Debbie and the Devil, for instance, I sort of created the casting page, and I would just sort of, select. I think together we would go through the selects and find our favorites, or I would kind of just narrow it down based on. Usually, my rules are: do you have a video reel or a video submission? And if you don't, I won't even look at it. I know it sounds harsh, but if you don't submit a video, you're not really trying. So that's just the way I feel about it.
Oh my gosh! I thought everybody had to submit a reel to be considered.
No, you don't. Like if you're on casting networks, LA Casting, whatever it is, you can have a profile and you might have photos of yourself, but not everyone will submit a video. So if you're not really submitting any video, then yeah, I won't even look at it. And then I will request submissions from the people that have some kind of video submission. And then basically we'll just look for people that fit the character in the script. And then once we have once we narrow down the character or the cast, the potential cast, we look at all the submissions, all the self tapes, and then, well, this is kind of how we do it now. I think before, when we did Debbie and the Devil, we just did in-person auditions. So we would go through and we would invite everybody to the casting, and we would just host like a 2-hour, 3-hour casting day, and we would just sort of go off of who read the best and who had the best chemistry. Yeah, and then we invite certain actors to perform with each other. Like, for example, the 4 boys in Gore Garage, one of the movies in the film, we
Right.
had to see how they performed together. And then
They
like
did really well. They did really, really well. I mean, listening, watching them, it felt like those guys had been friends all this time.
yeah.
Yeah.
It was very
Really did. It really felt like they are all friends. They're like, how did you get them all together? Did they know each other? Did they, like, were they friends of were they friends of yours? You just put them in the movie, that sort of thing. Because you felt like you felt the cohesiveness between them.
yeah.
Oh well, yeah. No, it was. You take it away.
Oh, okay.
Because you were
Yeah,
very well.
so we casted them individually. So, each character we really liked, and then we would invite them back to perform together. So I think they just had several days together before we filmed. We had auditions, we had rehearsals, we would have the table reads. I think we had like maybe 2 rehearsals, like a stunt day and the rehearsal. So by the time that we were filming, they had already gotten to know each other, and I don't know, they just really had good chemistry because they just got along. Luckily, it was honestly just luck, but it was also just the fact that we had several days together. So they weren't just hopping on set, meeting each other for the first time. Because I think it's really important.
Has that happened? Has that happened where you have made casting and you get them on the and you do you look at their self tape, you have them come in and maybe share a meal together or what have you, and then when during the shoot, for some reason it's just not working. There's a disconnect. How do you handle that? I mean, is it one of those things where you try to reset, like, okay, let's just take 10 minutes, take 15 minutes, see if they can put themselves back together. But or if it's that much of a disconnect where they're just not really connecting with each other, how do you handle that?
Well, I've never had it where the chemistry wasn't working, because after a certain point in making like short films before Debbie, really Debbie was where I really decided, like, I don't want to work with bad actors. And meeting with April, she had a similar thing. And so that's why Debbie is so well cast. So I haven't really had an experience where the chemistry wasn't working, because after a certain point, the things that I was working on were always really well cast. And when it's really well cast, the chemistry just works, So I don't know how I would handle that. I think I would try. I mean, for me, I like to keep the atmosphere light and fun. And I think if everybody is comfortable, if the performers are comfortable, the chemistry will be there if it's well cast. And that's how I feel about it. But I'm trying to think. I never had. Have you ever?
No, I don't think so. I think that we prioritize like rehearsals and just like these table reads, and sometimes like if you're lucky enough, you have even just like hangout days where you just do some things that are maybe work related but very casual, so you get to know each other as like a director or producer cast, or just like amongst cast members and like the director. So by the time that you get on set, you've already established the rapport and like the like dynamic. Otherwise, it's just a little bit too hard to do it on the day. So yeah, I haven't really had that experience either.
Yeah.
Okay.
Captain
So
Yeah. Right.
how like Debbie and the Devil's on Tubi, and so is Hellacious. And yesterday we talked to a gentleman named Matt Patterson, who's also a filmmaker, and he he also worked for Warner Brothers Archive.
I actually saw some of that, Patrick.
Oh, did okay.
Yeah, I did.
So my question to you, especially now, it seems like every day we're always hearing new things over and over and over about, physical media disappearing. A lot of indie films are no longer even trying to put out anything for the home market. Um, how do you handle that? Are you making physical copies for people to buy? Is that going to be something you can do, or is it cost prohibitive to do that now? How do you market your films?
It's a lot of just self-promoting. It's a mixture of guerrilla style marketing, word of mouth, um, paid ads, social media mostly, and
It's great that you have a podcast in house. Can I tell
and
you how
podcasts.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
I wish we did more podcasts, and we will do more podcasts because I
Yeah.
think that's a great way to,
Oh, I think that's absolutely bloody brilliant. I really
Yeah.
do.
We have-
Because you get to have your peers on.
mhm.
That's what's really cool. You get to sit there and pick their brains
yeah.
and build that network. So how did the podcast come to be? Was the podcast the first thing that Wild Seven did, or did you have that going on during the making of Debbie the Devil, or did you start the podcast afterwards based on the experience of making the film?
Yeah, I started the podcast in 2016. And
Oh.
at that time, it was just called Naz Red Talks About Movies or something like that, because that was all I did. And when we connected, we had so much fun making Debbie and the Devil, as you can see in the amazing documentary that Captain Morgan put together, And I thought, this is so great. I think some of this energy would be great on the podcast. And from that, the podcast network sort of blossomed, where we have other great shows like Simpin' After Dark, which Ashley hosts and is a great show, and other shows like Storyscapes and stuff. And it happened. So while we were making Debbie, the podcast became a sort of like club hangout kind of vibe thing on it and stuff. And it just sort of grew. And the thing is, like, I'm all about just being authentic. In 2016, the authentic thing to do with the podcast was just me in my room talking about movies. In 2020, it became, well, let's peel back the curtain a little bit on the studio and the fun that we have here. And
Sure.
Yeah. And that became the Wild Seven podcast featuring Nightshade Collective, which is a collective of mine. And we would just talk about all things film related, behind the scenes of like what we do. And then we would joke, like Naz would always joke about how we had like one listener, because we probably had a
we had
small
two.
dedicated audience.
Yeah.
But we would refer to our listeners as listener. So we would just sort of talk about where we're at with our movie. And, we'd be talking about, oh, like we just finished casting, or we just finished production for the first segment. And, we'd talk to the listener. And then it just has grown since then.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of, it's been great having the podcast.
Yeah. And now we do.
How many episodes have you done of the podcast? And do you have a regular time slot for it? Like if someone just walked in and said, when can I hear your podcast? Do you air it every Wednesday, every other Wednesday? How long does it run?
We generally do it once every other week, and we go from like after the winter break, when we return, we do pretty much a run until the next like late fall. And it's every other week that we drop it. And it's a great time. I encourage all of your listeners to.
So I just want to add to that. So the podcast is called Mr. Red's Lair. So it's evolved from the first podcast that Naz made back in the day to the Wild Seven podcast, which, we recorded hundreds of episodes. And now we sort of did a rebrand. It's his podcast, Mr. Red's Lair.
Yeah.
And, it comes out Mondays at 7?
7? Yeah.
7?
Yeah.
And currently we're on hiatus. Like you said, like during the winter break, we take a little bit of a break. So it just sort of depends on how busy we are with everything else in our lives, because we're also making our movies and our shows and everything on that side. But we try to stay consistent and do every Monday.
Right.
But lately it's been every other week. It's hard to keep up with everything.
Yeah.
Oh, I bet. So what about so where can if someone wants to buy the movie, Are you making it available for a home market? I mean, if someone says I want to buy a Blu-ray or a DVD of your movie, are you going to make it available or
I am
just?
so glad you asked, Patrick. You can buy the Blu-ray. Where can you buy the Blu-ray, April?
It is currently on wild7studios.com. So it's on our website. We self-distribute. So we will give you a thank you note and everything. It's coming straight from Wild 7. So currently it was being sold through Amazon, but we were not a fan of that. So we're just doing it ourselves.
Yeah.
Now, did you make a Hellacious that way as well, or is just Debbie and the Devil?
Not yet.
Not yet, Patrick.
Not yet.
Not yet. But a special edition could be on the horizon.
Yes.
We'll keep you updated.
Yeah.
I definitely. I'm glad to see that you have home release. I think for the independent filmmaker, I think that's more important now than ever before.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because the market's out there. There are people out there that want the whole they want something to grab onto and hold on to.
Mhm.
They want wedding.
Oh, never mind. I'm supposed to show you a horror film. That was my Hallmark movie. Okay. So how about
There we go.
That's Scooby. Okay, IFC Midnight. There you go. Our House, scary movie.
Nice.
I do think that's really important. That was improvised, by the way.
Nice. Very good.
I know people. You can't imagine how much shit I get from my horror community friends when I pop up a Hallmark movie and they're going like, "What the hell is that?" And we're like, "Man, you just don't even know."
Right?
Yeah.
In their own way.
Because you can't watch. Do you find that true? I mean, let me ask you this. Now we got this, and we're talking about desensitization. What movies do you guys like to watch when you're not watching horror? If you're not watching horror, what movies get you going?
I feel like we love movies, period. I mean, I love all genres. It really depends on the state of mind, right? Like right now I've been just kind of like into romance and like
April's a Hallmark girl.
I love all forms of reality TV, even sometimes.
I think that's awesome.
Keep it open. I don't like to be judgmental about films, and I hate film snobs.
Okay, me
I
too.
expose myself to as many genres and as many types of mediums as I can.
But I am not shy when I sit there and say like films like Hereditary suck dick. I'm not afraid to say that at all.
Shots fired.
I'm not a horror snob. I just know good movies, and that ain't one of them.
You hear that, Ari?
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
See, I like Ari Aster, but like I like all kinds of films. Yeah, thrillers, dramas, romance, everything, animation.
Oh, sorry. Oh, Captain Morgan.
Yeah, Captain Morgan. Let's hear what kind of movies you like watching, because you look like you be totally down with just about anything.
Yeah, generally I'm kind of down with anything. Kind of like April. I don't watch horror as often, or like love stories. They all seem the same to me. I don't know. But I've been watching like feel good, like old animation stuff. Like The Brave Little Toaster. I watched Meet the Robinsons, which is from when I was in like elementary school.
Sure.
So I've been in that kind of mood recently. But
That's cool though. That's cool. I remember that came out, and yeah, I think that's I think especially during Christmas time, I watch everybody, they're sitting there watching all these horror Christmas, and I'm going like, it'd be sort of cool to take a month off, just to put that aside, unless you're watching Secret Santa, and then I would sit there and say, hell yes, by all means watch that, because that's a badass movie. But otherwise, I feel like I think Christmas, I think it should be, like unplugged, so to speak, and watch something a little bit more quiet, a little bit more gentler, a little bit more family oriented. Because you have 11 months to go after that to crank it up again, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's the vibe.
Always feel good.
We're declaring December horror-free zone.
There you go.
Nice.
What about you, Naz? What do you? I mean, you're a man who watched hundreds of movies.
Yeah,
Are,
I
are you a
oh,
big IFC? Are you a big IFC or IFC Midnight fan? Do you watch certain movies from certain studios more than others?
you know, there are certainly studios that I'm interested in seeing their films for sure. Like A24 is one of them. Even though I know you shot fires at the and we're still recovering from that, Patrick. There's going to be big beef, and I'm in the middle of it, and I'm scared. The last IFC Midnight film I've seen was, I think, The Devil's Candy. I think they put that out.
Oh yeah, crank it, yeah! Isn't that awesome?
That's a good one. When I'm not watching horror, I do gravitate towards martial arts films and action and comic book movies. But then also, I mean, the movie that just blew my mind last week was Poor Things. Please go see that. That is a great film. It really moved me. Lots of sex and stuff. It was good. Yeah, but yeah, no, and yeah, martial arts films, and then TV, anything. Like, I like The Sopranos. I like to pretend I'm Tony Soprano, and that's my life. Yeah, martial arts and gangster movies I like a lot. Those are cool, old school ones. Yeah, like I just saw Public Enemy with James Cagney. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, I love martial arts movies too. I just got done watching a Scott Adkins movie he did called The Debt Collector, and I thought that was really, really fun. And it was weird because I heard there's another, you know, they had made a Debt Collector too. So I watched The Debt Collector first one. I'm sitting there watching and going like, how the hell did they come up with the second one when the main guys in the first one are dead? I'm like, is it gonna be a zombie movie or something? The Zombie Collectors?
Yeah, it's interesting you bring up Scott Adkins. Like, just a few months ago, I went through like a list of his best movies and just watched a bunch of Scott Adkins flicks, like stuff like that. I like Michael Jai White a lot. He's cool.
Yeah.
You know, other than horror, those are the things that I get into. They're fun because I feel like, Patrick, you and I and April and Captain Morgan, we have the spirits of martial artists. Life is a warrior's path.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, you're probably not far wrong. You speak truth more than you know.
Yeah.
You know, I think all of us have come through the fire in some way or the other, and you're stronger for it.
Yeah. Except for that loser, he's in the toilet. He's nothing.
Yeah. I'm telling you, you need to go back there and find his phone calls and make them into bumpers on the podcast.
Well, Patrick, I will leave you, not leave you with this, but like, because if you want to still talk, this is a lovely chat, Patrick. This is what happened to him. So the story is wrapped up in your mind, in the mind of the audience too. He was here at the office. He slipped on a banana peel. He fell into the toilet. I flushed the toilet, and he went down the toilet, and we never saw him again. And he was
you know what? That sounds like a perfect movie.
I hate him
so I tell you what, I will let you. I'll come up with one last question. Well, two questions. One, I want to hear each one of you. I want to hear this, and I'm putting you on the spot, and you can't get out of it. Oh, no. But I want to hear your favorite movie of this year. I want to hear your worst movie of the year. Oh, no. And two, yes, you have to go. You can't have one without the other. And we want names. And the other one is, what are your goals, individual goals for 2024?
Wow, that's a good question. I'm going to have to go through my AMC list right now. So
okay. Well, as she goes through the AMC list, do you have one off the top of your head, Captain Morgan?
Jeez.
Kind of, yeah. Best movie I've seen. I don't watch a ton of movies like Naz does. He has a whole list in his brain. But I really enjoyed, technically two. I really enjoyed the Barbie movie. Not gonna lie.
So cute.
It was great.
I thought it was great. Also, in terms of like songs or scores that really drive emotion, I think the Billie Eilish song in that really tied my emotion. But yeah, that, and I also really liked Leave the World Behind. Producer April, she's the one that steered me to it. Those are the two I remember the most, but I also have a terrible memory. What I didn't like, I'm with you, Patrick. I did not like Hereditary. I watched that for the first time this year.
Oh, you're my girl, Captain Morgan. Oh, yeah. There she is.
Wasn't a big fan. Yeah, sorry. I'm glad someone said it.
I love it.
Sorry.
I'm scared. for Ari.
Bo is afraid. Fuck no, Bo's killing me with boredom. Okay, that's just me. I mean,
Oh, I was
Sorry.
disappointed by it, honestly.
all right. Nas, what has been your favorite movie of the year and your Oh, I'm sorry, Captain Morgan. What do you got planned for this year? What do you hope to accomplish in 2024?
I want to just work on more stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to work. I
More
want to learn
projects.
more about sound and film and stuff, and just I really just want to work. Yeah.
And I definitely think with Wild 7, you're going to get all the work you can handle.
Yes.
I do. I really believe that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Also
Nas,
producing.
what has been your favorite movie of the year and the one that you said, oh, hell no?
Right. Okay. So that's a good question. I would have to say, first, my favorite movie of the year was this movie, Emily, about Emily Bronte. I really liked that one.
Oh yeah.
And that was a really great one. But I have to say, Poor Things was my favorite movie of the year. And then also, we dropped something called Santa Claus, Portrait of a Madman. That is on YouTube right now. That's my favorite, really. But Poor Things, I saw it last week. Godzilla -1 was really good too. But Poor Things really was great. Like, kudos to Yorgos Lanthimos. He's the most best. He's great. And then the worst movie I saw, you're not going to believe this, but the animator guy made a movie called I Am a Loser. And I saw it, and it was the worst movie that I've ever seen. And he sucks. I hate it.
Wow. All right.
Yeah.
I love that.
Right. Well, you know what's funny? Patrick, honest to God, like, I'm generally very pleased with movies. Like, I'll see any movie and think it has good stuff in it. I think the worst,
You haven't met Dustin Ferguson yet.
Oh yeah. Oh, he's into the bad ones, or
If you look at the word bad movie,
right.
it's his face staring back at you.
Right. Well, I will say I saw a movie. I forget the name of it, but I don't know if it was this past year or the year before. But it was with Pierce Brosnan, and there was like a mermaid in it, and it was really weird. and I was very perplexed by it. But again, like I thought there was weird stuff, interesting stuff in it. It was like I think it was a Chinese production or something. It was very odd. It was very weird.
I think I remember. I haven't seen that movie, but I do remember hearing about that. Yes.
That was one movie where, as I was watching it, I was thinking there must be some sort of story behind all this.
I heard the CGI was really bad on it too.
Yeah, it was strange, but again, it was fun to watch. I was the only person in the theater. It was wonderful. Yeah,
I have been there many times where I've been the only one in the theater. It's an interesting way to watch a movie.
Yeah.
And what do you want to do in 2024? Are you going to be are you in pre-production for anything new for 2024?
Yes, I am making the second film is called Showdown in Hell. And so we will be, making our inroads in making that. But really what I want to do in 2024 is party in Dubai with various models.
I don't know why not.
Right. I'm putting that on my vision.
Just
understand me, Patrick.
Just get a card. Just get a business card that says film director. That always works.
Yeah. Hey,
Oh my gosh.
Well, you know what, Patrick? I have to say, there are people out here in LA that work like that. We can't, because it's illegal. It's not. It's against the cinema laws. It's a mortal sin of cinema to dangle a part in front of a buxom young woman and say, here's a part. Let's get randy.
Right.
What you have to do is you go to Dubai. That's where all the babes are, and I'll take you with me. We'll go. And we'll just be like, we're cool guys that just want to hang, and we'll find the babes.
I'll have to be your wingman since I'm married, but I'll still be your wingman though.
Nothing about it.
Yeah. Sorry. But still,
Oh gosh.
April, how about you? Okay,
Yeah.
so we know it's Bo's not afraid, so we're safe. But what was your favorite movie of this year, and the one that and as far as one that you would hate, Naz, The Wendigo would be that choice for you, or The Neon Demon. Either one could fit. What about you, April? What has been your favorite movie that you've seen this year, and the one that said, "Oh hell no"?
I think I have like two favorites, and I kind of surprised myself with this because I would never guess they'd be my favorites of the year. Well, I also liked
Leave the
Leave the World Behind.
It's trippy.
Saw that a few
Highly
days ago.
recommend.
But as far as like movies I saw in theaters, I really like Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. I think the
Oh.
animation was so cool and just like all around story-wise.
I changed my answer to that.
It was just amazing.
That was amazing.
It was a film that just really
Yeah.
amazed me, you know, because it's
Mhm.
I love to go to the theater and just watch movies that make me either feel something emotionally, something that like connects with me, but also something that impresses me, something that's innovative. And that was one for me. Another one was Talk to Me. I don't know if you saw that one.
I can't wait to see that. I'm hoping that
Uh,
I know
that
that's A24 too, but that one, yeah, that one's sharp. That one's sharp.
I really liked it. Like I wouldn't say it's like the best film ever made, but it was one of my favorites of the year just because it was such a well-made horror film. Like it was genuinely scary and like it wasn't dumb horror. It was just like fresh and new, and the ending was just perfect. And that's really what makes or breaks a film in general, right? It's the ending. How does it end? How does it
Yeah.
tie together? Is there a twist? And it's just like it leaves you just gasping at the end, and I love that. So that was probably one of my favorites of the year. And then I don't know if I saw too many bad movies, but I would say like a film that kind of disappointed me was Infinity Pool. I was really expecting more from it, and
Okay.
it wasn't it for me. It was a little bit boring, to be honest with you.
I heard that. I heard that I know initially came out and it got a lot of praise, and then it sort of got muted as it went on. And
Yeah.
in fact,
The hype
right,
It-
I hear people talk about their favorite movies. I'm not hearing anything from anybody about it.
Infinity Pool, yeah. And I'm a fan of those kinds of films and, you know, Cronenberg's and stuff, but not. It was a little disappointing. I low key fell asleep. So
I will
And
tell
that's
you
sin,
the movie that I hated the most this year, honestly. See, I watch the movies. I don't get to go out a lot myself, so I put the movies that I've seen for the first time.
Mhm.
So I put, and so I would sit there and say that the worst movie that I saw this year was probably this. I know I feel bad saying it because it was the indie, but it was just god awful. It was a movie called The Wendigo. Oh
Mhm.
man, oh, that's the longest. It's the longest 68 minutes of my entire life.
Wow.
And then the movie that I thought was best was a movie called Brightwood by Cinephobia Releasing. That movie is amazing. Flipping amazing. I was like,
Yeah,
I was so hooked on that. I was-
On the list.
yeah, that's a great movie.
What's the
Fantastic. Movie. What's it? What?
The genre?
It's horror science fiction.
Okay. Right.
Oh yeah, yeah, it's very very cool.
Where can you see it?
Right now I think you can stream it. I think it's being streamed on Amazon, yeah. I don't think it's gotten to Tubi yet, but
Okay.
but it's coming. And in fact, we got the gentleman who helped get the movie on the big screen. We got him coming in next month, Ray Murray, who runs Cinephobia Releasing. That guy, he makes some great movies. That guy,
Right.
or he finds some great movies. He distributes some really great movies.
Right.
He's fantastic.
Nice.
All right, boys and girls, it is 2 hours. We have I have kept you long enough.
Can I say
think-
something, Patrick?
Yes, you
Can I
certainly
say
may.
something? Yo, Ari, you mess with Patrick, you mess with us. Don't be mad about what he said. You know, just chill out. I just had to put that out there, Patrick.
Okay.
'Cause you said some inflammatory things about Ari Aster.
Yeah. Sorry, Ari. I'm not a fan of Ari Aster. I'm not a fan of overhyped A24 films. Though I do own about 48 of them sitting right over here, which make my friends laugh their ass off when they hear me talking shit, and they go like, "Well, how many A24 films you got now?" I'm like, "Fuck off," you know. It's like I got 48 now. I have 47. Now I have 48. But there's some I do enjoy. There's some that I do enjoy. I really want to see Talk to Me, and next year I really want to see The Zone of Interest. That looks like a mind-blowing movie. That looks like a Zone of Interest. And there's a movie that they released way back when they first started that nobody knows about. It was before they became the darling. But there's this movie called Remember with Christopher Plummer and Martin Landau. that is a shattering film. That is
Oh.
an amazing film right there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I can
Yeah.
promise you, Patrick, when you come to LA, if Ari Aster pulls up, as they say in the young people cadence, we got your back. It's okay. If A24 pulls up, we
Yeah,
got
I'll just sit there and say I don't know how any director. I just want to know. I just want to know your secret. How do you make two actors like Tony Collette and Gabriel Byrne look so totally incompetent? That's gotta be. That's
Ari,
talent.
oh my god!
That's,
Oh
how
shit!
do
Are
you
you
do?
gonna take
How
that,
do,
Ari?
how do you do that? Because I've never seen anybody do it before. But you know, Captain Morgan knows what I'm talking about.
Right, Captain?
Yay.
Oh my god, I love Tony Collette in that movie.
Oh my
I like Tony Collette, but she was. I mean, she out Al Pacino'd. I mean, you know, but that's just me. That's just me.
Yeah.
You
No,
know,
it's cool.
Um,
but
each their own.
for the sake of diplomacy, Patrick, I may have to come between Ari and you. You know what I mean? Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to derail your.
No, not at all. Well, I got all your socials down below. I'll add April and Captain Morgan, and I can add your individual socials down and below too. I'll get them from you after the show, or you can just send them to me through Instagram. I'll put them down. I want to thank you guys for coming out and hanging out with us. This is the next to the last show of the year. I got one more show next Thursday. And hopefully you guys all will come out and support that. Debbie and the Devil is currently playing on Tubi as well as Hellacious. Definitely recommend both those films very, very much. I can tell you right now that Hellacious did make my top 20 list. I don't know where it's going to be at. I don't know where it's going to be at in the ranking, but I can tell you it's definitely one of the top 20 films I watched this year.
Thank you. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Also
Patrick.
made our list.
Yeah,
I think it's my favorite of the year.
Oh,
We forgot about that.
We forgot about it.
I was going to say
Um,
something about that jerk off, but I'm not going to say anything. Let's leave it at positive.
Thank you guys for all coming in tonight to the chat. I'm glad you guys are here. I will see you in a few minutes over at Hobbs's channel for the midnight hour. Thanks to you folks right here. Stay right where you're at. I'm going to say goodnight to the chat, and then you and I will say goodbye off camera. Have a great day, and we will see you. We'll see you next week. Peace.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
You as well.
Come on.